Hello and welcome to the Homebrew review. It's been a while, I know. I didn't upload last week. I went to go visit my dad and, never ended up getting around to doing anything. So, today we'll be doing the Cryomancer class. Let's just, I'm also going to do my new structure today. How the structure goes is, I start off by talking about what the idea is, and how it's themed and all that nonsense, and then I get into my balancing, and then I will go into some multi-classing just briefly, and then I'll score it overall. So, getting straight into it, the Cryomancer is effectively a spellcaster, like its name suggests. However, the whole design of it is to try and keep up with the frontline fighters, which is interesting while dishing out a shit ton of cold damage, which is obvious by its name. But however, the most interesting bit is where it splits off. It splits off into two archetypes, one called the Glacial Heart and one called the Frozen Knight. Glacial Heart is a control variant, while the Frozen Knight is more of a tank. Now let's get straight into the balancing portion of the video. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Aura of Ice and Chilling Retaliation, as well as, Heart of Ice, Grasping Chill, and Frozen Armaments. In particular, because these are the abilities that are mostly unbalanced. Starting off with Chill Retaliation and Aura of Ice, both of them, the problem with these abilities are that they both deal 3d6 piercing damage and 3d6 cold damage, which, if you know, is not good, because it is not balanced at all, but it's a bit too powerful. However, if you do look at level-wise, these abilities come at 10th and 14th level, but I don't think that excuses the amount of damage. So, the reason why it's a little broken is the maximum damage output is, just doing quick math in my head, I don't script these, 36 damage out per move, which is a little high, if in any case. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure how to balance this one. I would say 1d6 piercing damage and 2d6 cold damage. However, they are late game abilities, so upon saying that, I don't know whether that is the best option, because it's kind of weird, because it's part of a subclass that is already a late game thing for the class, and yeah, it's a little weird. But moving on to Heart of Ice. Now, Heart of Ice is the 20th level ability. Oh, I should mention that there are other effects on Aura of Ice and Chilling Retaliation, and that's why damage is still high as well. Again, moving on to Heart of Ice, which is an interesting one because it basically lets you touch a creature, con save, or they take 8d10 of cold damage, and their speed is reduced to 0. That's a little overpowered. Even late game enemies will have trouble beating someone with a move like this, and you can use it the number of times equal to your Charisma modifier, which makes it even worse. So you just spam this thing. Anyway, again, the damage is a little too high. I honestly would halve that amount of damage, just so it's not, absolutely fucking busted, but, I'm not the one. I'm probably not going to play this, but yeah. So let's move on to Armaments of the Frozen Knight. No. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Frozen Armaments. I'm bad at speaking sometimes. Now, what's the problem with this? Well, it basically lets you generate weapons with double damage. Well, damage dice anyway. That's not good. In any case, no offense to the creator of this class. That's not how that works. I do understand that they wanted, because this is meant to be a tanky, that they wanted a melee or ranged attack that isn't a spell option And I do understand that. However, what they should have done is get the base weapon, and rather than double the damage, add 1d6 to that damage. That's all they should have done, but no. They are also considered magical weapons, so yeah. They're also considered +2 magical weapons, to be specific. So yes, they also get a +2 damage, and at 17 level +3, which I'm not against the +2, +3 thing. It's just the doubling the damage dice is, again, a little overpowered, especially, which lets this class just overturn most melee classes, and that's not the point. Now, moving on to Grasping Shield, probably the worst one here. This one is a grapple tactic, which is fine. That it deals 3d10 plus strength cold damage on a successful grapple check, okay. But it also does 3d10 strength mod per round that the creature is grappled, and that I find is wrong. That is way too powerful. You can kill most enemies with that. That's on a maximum scale 30 damage per round, on a minimum scale 3 per round, and a mid scale of about 17 per round, roughly. That is very roughly. It might be 18 per round. But anyway, the point is that that's a lot of damage to be dishing out in any scenario. Now, there's a few ways you can balance this. You could make it change the 3d10s to 2d8s, which will balance it out fine enough that it's not overpowered, because grapples are hard to pull off in the first place. So I'm not gonna, take away the reason why it's so high, but I'm not gonna exactly keep it as broken as it is. The other option is make it 1d10. So, and why? People will be like, why? Isn't 2d8 more powerful? Yes, it is more powerful. However, it's harder to balance when you're adding different types of damage dice that aren't out of a separate ability. Well, it's not hard, it's just annoying. So, yeah, that's how I try and keep it that. But that's that for the balancing section of this video. However, moving on to multi-classing. Well, we'll talk about the prerequisites, which are 13 con and 13 Chris. Pretty standard stuff. However, when cross-classing with other classes, this is effectively useless. Why? Because all you get first level is spellcasting, and everything else above that is not broken at all. So, yeah, you see what I mean. If you choose this class, if you're gonna multi-class into this, there's no point. There's not a lot of abilities that combo with other abilities outside of this class, because a lot of them are pretty much just, standalone abilities that don't boost anything. The easiest one to get and the easiest one to be used outside of this class is Dance of Ice and Blade, which is just lets you cast Ice Blade at a 2nd level for free up to your charisma modifier. So there's nothing hugely broken, and there's not ridiculous. That's all I can really say about multi-classing. There's not a lot to it. How will I score this, however, overall? Overall, I'll say 3.5. Just because of those few little damage, like the high damage dice total and damage output, puts this down quite a lot. I like that it keeps to the theme. I like that it plays around with some interesting ideas and from other classes and makes them a lot more viable. So yeah, I do like this. I do like this design. I do like this class. However, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad at some points, and that's all there is to it. So thank you for listening to this episode of Homebrew Review. Hopefully, I will have something up by next week.